And I'm sorry, we're a little behind here. We'll go forward with our 9 a.m. meter investments. Andy Robbins, this is discussion update quarterly report on White Pine County investments. Andy Robbins, director. This is sponsored by Catherine Backrack, our treasurer. Andy, please go ahead.
Hey, thank you. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and talk about the economy, and then we'll take a look at the portfolio. All I'm going to mention on the economy right now is inflation. You've probably been following this a little bit. This is probably the number one factor right now in the Fed's decision-making process on whether or not to raise rates, hold, or cut. And this graph we're looking at here shows CPI versus trueflation. This is an interesting number. Trueflation is a measure of inflation similar to CPI, but a little bit more accurate and a little bit more real time. So the Federal Reserve, they've always used CPI as their measure of inflation to determine whether or not to raise rates or cut rates. You can see how it compares in blue to the orange. This trueflation number takes several million real-time prices. So it essentially is a conglomeration of prices from Amazon, from Walmart, from any number of different websites, and it's real time. So you can see the difference here. CPI has been, has dropped from 4% down to about 3.5%. And actually, the number just came out this week. It's 3.4 as of July. But the trueflation number is right at 2%. And so the Fed, their target is 2%. If they'd like to have prices kind of maintain that level, and if they're at 2%, they don't really have an incentive to raise rates to combat inflation. You can kind of see back here a few years ago when inflation got crazy, the Fed then had to go on a rate hike cycle. They raised rates about 500 basis points over the course of a year and a half. Right now, there's not a real need. There's not a real urgent need anyway. About a month ago, it was looking like we'd probably get a rate hike or two in 2026. As of today, it looks like we're probably either going to hold rates or maybe get one hike in 2026. And then actually a lot of economists are of the belief that the Fed will start to cut rates in 2027 due to a bunch of other factors, but essentially some recessionary precursors. Nothing to be too worried about, but just kind of a slowing of consumer spending, increases in consumer debt and default rates, things like that. But at any rate, at this point, it looks like the Fed is either going to hold rates or raise one time in 2026. Let's go ahead and skip down to the portfolio and just kind of some highlights. Here's what the portfolio looks like. It's about 45% CDs. We're currently managing about 26 million in assets for the county, and CDs, U.S. Treasuries, and agencies make up the bulk of the account. We've got about 10% in corporate bonds, but the bulk of the account is in really conservative asset classes, essentially the most conservative asset classes you can be in. The duration on the account is about 1.8 years. We like that, especially if the Fed starts to cut rates. We'd like to have a longer duration so you can hold on to your rates higher and your higher rates longer. The current yield on the portfolio is about a 4.11. So if you compare that to LGIP, which is about a 3.80, we're doing really well. So earning extra income for the county. And I'm just going to skip over here to the performance summary. We've over the last year, quarter, and month, we've been well above 4% on a net return measurement. So about a 4, like I said, kind of somewhere between 410 and a 420, outperforming the LGIP by about 30 basis points or so. And from a liquidity standpoint, looking really, really good. If the county were to call us and say, hey, we need to pull out of the 26 million that my firm is managing, we need to pull out 5 or 10 million because something came up. We have an emergency. We need to spend it. It actually is not a problem for us. We have enough liquidity in the portfolio. We could liquidate securities if needed, and but in the meantime, they're really earning well. So yeah, that's just a very brief. Catherine asked me to be brief. I know you got a lot of items you're covering, but any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Isn't the treasury market right now controlling more of where the bond market is going rather than the Federal Reserve messing with it? We now have 30-year notes at 5.2% this morning.
Yeah, that's a great question.
All of them. And so why does the Federal Reserve need to stick their nose in that?
So good question. So the Federal Reserve, they have what we call the dual mandate. They want stable prices and they want essentially stable employment. So their target for inflation is 2%, like I said, and if inflation gets too high, they'll raise rates. Their target for employment is 4% unemployment. And if that unemployment gets too high, then they cut rates. So they're always trying to balance those two. That's their only job. And so they're trying to help maintain those stable prices and stable employment. So the two numbers they're looking at are the unemployment and the inflation, and we're right at target right now. We're right at 2%, 2 to 3% inflation, depending on which measure you use, and we're sitting at 4.1% unemployment, so right at the target level. So there's really no imminent need for them to move. This graph we're looking at here, this shows the yield curve. So these are treasuries. If you wanted to buy a 2-year treasury today, the orange line is today, you can buy a 2-year treasury at kind of around a 430, 435. But at the beginning of the year, which is the blue line, you would have only received about a 355, 360. So it's moved up considerably. And you're right, the market is what sets these rates. The Fed sets the rates kind of, a year and in, but the rest of the market kind of moves in response to what the Fed does. But yeah, the Fed really doesn't have much control over where the 5-year and the 10-year Treasury are trading. They have very little control over that. The market participants really set that, and that affects everything from your mortgage rate. The 10-year Treasury is highly correlated with mortgage rates. 30-year mortgage, very highly correlated. The Federal Reserve and their Fed funds rate is highly correlated to money market funds, to state pools like the LGIP. That's where really they have a lot of impact. But the Fed, they try to be as apolitical as possible. Sometimes that's hard, and obviously you'll get politicians trying to influence them, but they're by mandate they are mandated to be independent from politicians and policymakers. Did that answer your question?
Pretty much. I just remember when Richard Nixon got all involved and the world was going to end because we had 3% inflation, and we've done a lot worse than that rather recently.
Yeah. In fact, you can kind of see what rates have done since 2000. Very, very volatile, and the Fed has had their fingers in this for sure. If you look at what rates have done, particularly if you go back since 2008 to 2022, we were at essentially 0% Fed funds rate for over 10 years during that 15 to 20 year period. Really, we were at below 1%. It's great to see kind of a normal environment based on where we are now. I don't think the Fed's going to mess much unless the real what's the word I'm looking for? The real worry, the real potential game changer is the Middle East. If tensions continue to rise and we can't maintain stable oil prices, and inflation starts to take off, then the Fed will have to intervene and raise rates. As of right now, there's a decent chance the Fed won't do anything if things can kind of stabilize and normalize over there. But that is a huge question mark and a huge unknown. So,
You have a question?
but yeah, you can kind of rest easy. Your portfolio is really doing well, earning well, outperforming, and we anticipate, barring a major war in the Middle East and inflation rising, you should expect this portfolio to outperform the LGIP for all of the rest of 2026 and 2027. You're set up really well to do that.
Mr. Robbins, I have a question.
Yeah.
On the account review, we have net unrealized gain and loss. It looks like we have a net unrealized loss. Do you know which market sector would that be?
So this is mostly, we have a portion of your portfolio in mortgage-backed securities. Those are agencies, so like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, mortgage-backed securities. So these are securities that have underlying mortgages tied to them. And that portion of your portfolio is the portion that is almost entirely responsible for that unrealized loss. We are not worried about that. Portfolios will fluctuate between positive and negative. We don't actually get excited if we have a large unrealized gain either. A large unrealized gain, all that means is that interest rates are falling and that as we have maturities, we're reinvesting at lower rates. An unrealized loss means that we're currently reinvesting upcoming maturities at higher rates. Like I can even kind of show you here. Here's a list of your individual holdings. You can see they're sorted by maturity. And if you look at upcoming maturities, here's one maturing literally this month that's been paying under 1%. This is something we bought back in probably 2022 when interest rates were low. And a lot of that stuff is going to be maturing. If we scroll down and look at the securities that are pricing at an unrealized loss, it's all these mortgage backs. You can see these Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae CMOs. Those are the ones that are responsible for the unrealized loss. These are shrinking as we as more time goes on and the underlying mortgages pay down, the principal payments pay down, people refinance their home, they move. This is going to continue to fall. It actually has been falling. We're really not worried at all about this. The big story of your portfolio is that you're comfortably outperforming the LGIP. This portion of your portfolio is dragging it down, but other portions of your portfolio are pulling it up. This is why we have a diversified portfolio with multiple asset classes. This is why we ladder and have securities maturing at regular intervals. So yeah.
Okay, did you have any other questions from the board? Okay, Mr. Robbins, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate your presentation.
You bet. Thank you. Okay.
We will move on to the 9:15 Liquor Board. Number 1, discussion for possible action. Approval of a liquor license for the McGill Swimming Pool Park for the period of September 4, 2026 through September 5, 2026 by applicant Stacy Lairs. Sheriff Scott Hemroy. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yep, this is the end of the season for the pool for their big splash. So this is the celebration they do every year. Mrs. Laird's filled out proper application and they paid the appropriate fees. So I just look for a motion to approve, please.
I so moved.
A second. Okay, thank you. I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Vogler and a second from Commissioner Robinson. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you for that one. And number 2, discussion for possible action, approval of the July 22nd, 2026 Liquor Board minutes. Any questions from the board? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. I
Second.
have a motion to approve from Commissioner Pauly and a second from Commissioner Vogler. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, moving on to the 9:30 natural resources. Number 1, discussion information only. This is regarding the White Pine County Natural Resources, Public Lands, and Water Issues Tracking List. Jeremy Drew, Principal Resource Specialist, Resource Concepts, Inc. Good morning, Jeremy.
Morning, Chair. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. As has been the case for the last several months/years, we continue to have a lot of activity in the space involving natural resources and public lands. So I'll try and step through the pertinent updates for you this morning. And then our next agenda item will be specific to one of our projects. Wanted to touch bases quickly on Caltech and the DSA 2000 radio telescope. We had an update to NRAC at the July meeting, which presented a lot of updated information and more detail about the proposed timelines and where things stand with BLM. They have gotten back to me and indicated that they likely will not have any sort of initial withdrawal in terms of coordinating their spectrum around the project. And so we'll have to kind of see what the final proposed plan of development looks like in that regards. But it looks like if it moves forward with an EIS, that EIS will be specific to the project footprint and not additional withdrawals beyond that. So that's the latest on DSA. White Pine County Conservation, Recreation, and Development Act Land Sales Round 3, continuing to work on the aspects needed for the Notice of Realty action, and they anticipate the open auction on those two parcels sometime this winter. Just as a note on that, and BLM reminded me of this, and I told them I would relay it. If the county is interested in potentially conveying additional parcels, we can do that and build those into future round land sales. So something to keep in mind as we see how things move forward and what sort of interests there are on the parcels coming up this winter. Switching a little bit to energy, you do have an updated map in your packets that added the Apollo Energy project way out on the west side of the county. That's the furthest west project that's on our list. If you're having trouble deciphering all the different colors, which I kind of do myself. But just to give you a sense of where that project is located, all the various transmission lines are in some stage of development. So SWIP North obviously is under construction. I'm sure you all see that going on a daily basis. Cross Tie sounds like they're a little ways from construction, but they are coming to NRAC next week or presenting virtually to give us an update on the status of that project. Again, that's the project that goes from Robinson Substation East to Utah. Greenlink North, we have a draft comment letter on that, but the supplemental final EIS was published on July 24th. They only gave us a 30-day comment period, and so those comments are due on August 24th, which is why that is on the next agenda item. Robinson Substation is being expanded. That right now is specific to the Swift North project. And then on White Pine Solar, just to flag, the RPC did approve the SUP for that on private lands, but there is a segment of their Gentie line that will have to cross BLM property. BLM plans to process that under a categorical exclusion, which would limit how much the county is involved in that particular project. Again, I mentioned the map and added the Apollo Solar. Not a lot new on White Pine Water Power. I will just mention that the hydrogeological test is planned for this fall, and staging on that is likely upcoming at either the end of August or into September, so they can hit their window for drilling the test and monitoring wells. Not a lot of updates on the water rights side of things. There's some things that are still pending. The Baker Ranches versus Howland case, the Pine and Wawa Valleys case has been kind of quiet here for a bit. I think with the various counties in Utah being involved, I think things kind of went on pause with election season here. So we'll keep an ear open for that, and we're still working on the details for the golf course water rights. There was some communications and correspondence received that I put in your packet. And then also just to flag a couple of future items. So I mentioned NRAC is next week. Crosstie will present an update. Center for Biological Diversity has also requested to be on that agenda, so they'll be providing an update. And then NACO's Public Land and Natural Resource Committee has a couple of things coming up. Their normal meeting on August 27th. And then they're also holding a virtual county energy forum on August 14th. One of the speakers on that is Engie, I believe, and that is the proponent of the Lonely Road project down south of Robinson Mine between the mine and Highway 6. So we'll be engaged in that and listen to what they have to say. But anyone else who's interested, the flyer is also attached. With that, Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question, Jeremy. With the extraterrestrial project in Spring Valley, is there any proposal from these folks at Caltech to mitigate any damage in case the Eldridge family will not be able to graze under those things because it has a high potential of turning to solid halogene, which is poisonous? And is there any indication that after taking 63,000 acres of White Pine County, will there be any compensation of an assessed evaluation to a special use, I guess you would call it? Are they making any progress on that, or is that we just take it, leave it? That's my question.
Commissioner, as always, good questions. On item 2, I don't think there's been any specific conversations around compensation for the land use. Certainly, I think that's something the county could discuss with the proponent going forward. On item 1, as relates to the grazing part, I know the proponent is well aware of the county's concerns on that. BLM and the proponent have both indicated to me that they don't anticipate a loss of AUMs. We'll see if that sticks, but at least that's their initial evaluation, and we will keep a very close eye on that if it moves in to the NEPA process, because I think some of the comments we've previously provided to them is that any mitigation that needs to occur, maybe even outside of the reclamation of the disturbance areas, should be included in the NEPA process for the project. And so I know we flagged that previously, recently, and we will continue to flag any compensation or mitigation that needs to happen as relates to the grazing permits.
So the fox is guarding the hen house, basically, at this point.
Oh, I have a quick question, Jeremy. There was a water rights application for 101 acre feet in Steptoe Valley. Are you familiar with that one?
Do you remember when that was filed, Chair? Was it recent?
Yes, I heard about it at the CNWRA meeting.
Okay.
And Cody had mentioned that he didn't know where it was exactly. So I didn't know if he'd mentioned it to you or followed up on that.
If it's one that was filed in previous months, and that's why I've asked the question, then NRAC has reviewed it. I don't remember that being on this month's report that we just pulled together for the meeting, but I'll look into that and make sure it's one that we've reviewed for NRAC. If it was just filed in the last couple of days, there's a chance that that may not have popped up on one of the monthly reports as of yet.
No, it wasn't filed in the last few days. It was at the CNWRA meeting that they mentioned it.
I think I'm familiar with it, but we will verify that.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? All right, we'll move on to item number 2, discussion for possible action. This is approval of a draft comment letter to the BLM Ringlink North 525 kV transmission line project, final supplemental environment impact statement, SEIS, and proposed resources management plan amendment, RMPA. The comment period will end on August 24, 2026. Jeremy Drew, Principal Resource Specialist, Resource Concepts, Inc., and the letters in the backup.
That's correct, Chair. And with your permission, my plan, because I know this is of interest to the commissioners, was to step through some of the primary points that we're making in the letter, which are consistent with what we've said in the past. But if there's a policy shift or something you want stated more strongly, we're certainly open to that. As with anything we provide, it's a comment that's coming out under the commission's pen and signature. So if there's things that you want to update, we're all ears. And given the fact that we've had 30 days here, put us at a little bit of a disadvantage, but I think we've got a really good start. So is it all right if I step through some of the key points?
Please.
Okay. So as the commissioner said and the chair, there is a letter in front of you. We were only given 30 days. We're respectfully requesting a 60-day extension to this comment period. Whether or not we get that, I don't know, but it never hurts to ask. Most of the EIS, if you've looked at the support material from the BLM, really focuses around analysis of exemptions that were provided specific to greater sage grouse, which could, I think, have some ramifications going forward. And the main reason I say that is those exemptions for distance from LEX or noise requirements are not specific to Greenlink North. They're actually being applied to the utility corridor that's being proposed. So any future project that uses that corridor would be granted the same exemptions, which is a little bit different than the way I read the governor's consistency review letter. And so I did want to flag that at the front of this because it will kind of dictate some of our conversations and our points that we're making. So we did mention the project's potential effects on the county, in part due to some of the cumulative effects from the other projects that are being proposed on the map that we just discussed in our update. I reiterated the county has asked for a smaller corridor. Originally, the BLM had proposed a 3-mile width on that corridor. We had suggested 2640, which is consistent, I believe, with the corridor in the Ely RMP at a 1/2 mile. For a couple reasons. One, it tightens down potential future disturbance, but it would also limit cumulative impacts going forward, given those exemptions. On the top of page 2, second paragraph, we do talk specifically about our disappointment and not more analysis on the I-80 alternative. Given that some of the fact pattern has changed, we have a congressionally designated SWIP corridor going north out of the county. That's where SWIP North is being constructed, and obviously co-location there would result in our opinion, fewer impacts. So all that being said, we do flag that we cannot support alternatives D and E as described in the final SEIS, given our concerns about the exemptions to sage grouse restrictions on the corridor itself. I believe that's inconsistent with the county's public land policy plan, and we cite the policy specific to that. We discussed that more generally in the following paragraphs. And then at the bottom of page 2 and onto page 3, we really talk about our concern and maybe disappointment's a better way to put it in what they're calling the reasonably foreseeable development trends. So
KELY,
there are a lot of applications for renewable energy projects in the county. The way BLM has couched that in a appendix is they list the appendix, they list the project, they talk about where it is, and then their conclusion is kind of, well, none of these projects are in the NEPA analysis phase, so we don't believe there's a cumulative effect to be analyzed. Frankly, I think that's wrong. And I don't know that it meets the spirit of NEPA, even under the proposed regulation changes. So you'll see we flag that pretty hard. And then in page 3, On the summary, again, we reiterate that we do not support alternative E or D. We talk about if they're going to grant exemptions, the exemption should be granted to the project and not the corridor. And then again, we flag, if it, basically the statement is, if it's too late for the project to consider the I-80 alternative utilizing SWIP North, then any future projects should. I guess my question to the board, having gone through a lot of information in a short period of time, is whether we want to strengthen our position on an I-80 alternative, or whether you're comfortable staying more consistent with our previous comments. So that would be my lead question to the commission. And then I'm more than happy to try and answer any questions on the balance of the letter.
Well, Jeremy, my understanding was that from the guidance from the BLM, that there were only two issues that they considered significant. And that was the seasonal restrictions and the sound levels. And anything else would not even be considered. So you did a great job on this letter. But unfortunately, due to the governor's consistency review letter, those are the only two issues that they will even consider at this comment period.
That is true. That does not mean we can't flag additional items, but they will limit, their review to those. The interesting thing around the governor's letter is that it specifically talks about the seasonal timing restrictions and the request to lift those. But I didn't see in the letter where it talked about avoiding noise requirements and things, and the LEC, waiving the LEC buffer distances. So either I'm missing something, which is possible, or alternative E is not completely consistent with at least the letter that was provided. So I think we've done a good job of flagging those issues and items. And again, like I said, I think we're in a good position with the letter, unless the commission wants to lean more into the I-80 alternative, which, as the chair said, I think BLM's position will be, we've already evaluated that and decided not to move it forward.
Jeremy, my pet project. Sound is rather generic. And the information I got from the folks in New Mexico that have one of these Captain Kirk Star Trek deals going, they have restrictions on the sound around. I have to communicate with my sheep herders all around that project. And the sheriff's department and the state police have radio communications across that same area. And when you say you're the only thing that they want to talk about is sound, well, is it going to be that any sound other than the ones that the extraterrestrials make are going to be forbidden?
This is about Greenlink. This is about Greenlink, not the.
But they're saying that that's what they're indicating with this. Why won't that be applicable to anything that they do? Is this sound thing?
Oh, because.
Yeah, they're saying this is the only thing that we talk about is sound. Well, that gets to be a pretty blunt term real quick.
I can answer that, Chair. I think the difference with this project and DSA, so when you talk about sound requirements specific to Greenlink, what BLM's looking at in relation to sage grouse is basically your construction, the sound associated with construction, right? So there's limits in their sage grouse resource management plan that talk about limiting sound to like no more than 10 decibels above the ambient sound level, especially within certain distance of LECs or at certain times of the day. When you look at other projects, those same sound requirements would be required during construction and potentially on operations. But that's a totally different animal than the spectrum discussion we've had. And at least on this project for Greenlink North, there really is no discussion on spectrum interference because they're not proposing any limitations on land use as relates to that.
It's just the generic term of sound covers a big bucket load of worms as far as I'm concerned, Pandora's box, as far as I'm concerned. If that's their front page stuff, you can't. The men mumble and money screams there may be a heck of a bunch of sound things that come popping along in all these projects. Sound becomes just a comment.
Any other questions from the board? Anyone wish to make any changes to this letter? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve this letter.
I'll second. Okay, I have a motion to approve the letter from Commissioner Polly and a second from Commissioner Robinson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, commissioners.
On to item 3A, 1A. That's correct. This is Commissioner Tim Polly. Discussion for possible action. Approval to adopt resolution number 2026-16, establishing the policy requiring all surplus county vehicles and other personal property to be offered for public auction prior to donation or other transfer of such property. The policy would provide a 45-day review period prior to the auction, during which county departments, towns, and advisory boards may identify and request surplus property for governmental use, subject to applicable law and county approval. Commissioner Polly?
Okay, so this was tabled from the last meeting. They wanted to be an extension on this, that the whole county would be able to, county entities, should I say, would be able to review and see if there's anything they could actually better their situation with. So I didn't want to hang out for 90 days on this, feeling that the majority of this material should just be dispersed and pushed on. So I put it down to 45 days, hoping that everybody would agree with that. We've got an area that I've talked to road superintendent about, that we can put it down the county yard, but it doesn't, we don't want it to be covering on its room and a half. So everything's the same as it was before, except we went from a 90-day down to 45-day.
And we provided this review period for the boards, other boards. Any comments? Questions? Nope. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
I second. I have a motion from Commissioner Vogler to approve and a second from Commissioner Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have elected officials number 1B1A. This is discussion for possible action to approve applying to the William N. Pennington Foundation for an $550 grant for improvements at Field 3, high school baseball field of the baseball complex. The match is $200,000 and will come from already budgeted funds from maintenance, jointly submitted with Cole Burdick, maintenance superintendent.
So thank you for the opportunity to come up here, Chair and fellow commissioners. I really want to thank Charlie Hall for getting the ball rolling on this. We started with a conversation and he did a ton of legwork to get things moving, and it was just great effort on his part. So thank you very much, Charlie. So Cole and I met with the field. We went through things. Cole has already identified that this field needed some improvements, and in the budget you guys passed, the money was already dedicated for that. This would use a portion of that as the county match, and normally the Pennington Foundation requires a 50-50 match, like when we did the ambulance in McGill, and they are not requiring that this time. So they're basically, it's an 80-20 match. And this would do so much for this field in the community. It is a county park, so the high school or the school district is supporting it, but it is a county facility. I've talked with the chair to keep her updated on the progress of this. And Cole and I are here to answer any questions. It would be going out to bid. We're gracious for Rec Brothers to give us a quote. It doesn't mean they're going to bid, but just so we could do the grant application, we needed that. But we could probably have the money in a month, less than a month, and start the process. And hopefully, if you guys approve it, to get some of these improvements done before the next baseball season starts. But this is not just the high school baseball field. The travel teams that we have here locally use it. People use it as a dog park, just as another park. The little leagues, they can practice on it and use it. And it just needs a lot of TLC. And this would add lights to it too. So there limits some of the restrictions that we have. They currently have, Little League does, and the high school. So maybe the kids won't get out there till 10, 11 at night because there's only one field with lights.
Yeah.
So,
Any questions from the board?
I think my biggest, it's a wonderful deal. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really cool. My heartburn comes from the school not donating anything to it. So that was my biggest heartburn about that. But I do understand your positions on this. I have read the letter. I know the school's focusing on their K through 8. In that letter that the school, White Creek School District put out, I'm not keen on the verbiage they put in there, challenges for the young men. Their challenges for the youth in that point, they're singling out this is only a boys team that's utilizing this facilities. And again, down further, it also says our boys, where it should be our students. This letter possibly can be construed at a higher level beyond us as
I definitely understand and share your thoughts on that, because this isn't just for young men. This is for everybody, men and women. And I didn't write it.
no.
But I understand your concerns on that. And I think because that was one of the parts with the foundation is that this isn't just the high school baseball field. This is for the community, and it is a county park. So I've emphasized that in the stuff that I wrote, that this is for that. And Cole, being the head of maintenance and the parks and facilities, he knows we all know it's for everybody.
At this level, yes.
Yes, and they do at their level, at the foundation's level. But I understand and I agree.
Any other comments or questions?
Oh, and I just wanted to commend Cole as well, because he's taken the bull by the horns on this. He's been awesome with this. So, Ryan.
I commend both of you. This is very well put together. My question was, do we have the money? Is it in the budget? And you've already provided all of that information.
We didn't have to come with big bar and steel today, which is even better.
So I think this would be, excellent. We could get an $800,000 grant. Great, I think so. My only comment is the letter that we have here for me to sign.
Yes, I have a different one right here.
Okay.
Yes, that was a typo I caught later after I submitted it, and
Okay.
the agenda was. But I have an updated one in here.
Okay, for 200.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for catching that. So
Money is important.
yes, very much.
Anything else from the board?
The only thing I can say is that if we got $200,000 laying around in maintenance, we're being overtaxed.
No, it's budgeted.
It's already in there.
It's already budgeted.
So if we got that there, and we've got all these investments of millions of dollars there and here and there and gone, and the property taxes keep rising. What's that all about?
That's not on the agenda.
That's our fault.
But it's all part of the 200,000, isn't it?
So, any other questions from the board? No? Hearing none. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I second. Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Polly to approve and a second for Commissioner Robinson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Cole. Great job. Okay, we'll go to item number 2. Nicole Steffi, County Clerk. Discussion for possible action. Approval of the request for appointment to the Local Emergency Planning Committee from Steve Campbell, Road Superintendent, representing transportation. And Nicole has the application in the back. Yes. I sit on the LUPSI committee, and I think Steve would be an excellent addition to the committee. Excellent. Glad to see that he applied. Any questions? I agree. Okay. Do I have a motion? I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Robinson and a second from Commissioner Polly. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Item B, discussion for possible action. Approval of the request for the appointment to the Lund Town Council from Nathan Daniel KELY. And again, the application is in the backup. Do you know Mr. KELY? Elisa? Is he on the moment? Is Mr. KELY on? I don't think so.
Is difficult as it get to be on many sports. If we've got a volunteer, I suppose it's it was advertised, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I will make. So, Mr. Kelly's.
I second.
Okay. I have a motion from Commissioner Polly to accept and approve, and a second from Commissioner Vogler. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we have item C1A, Matthias Reski, Emergency Management Director. This is discussion for possible action. Approval and adoption of the Continuity of Operations Plan, COOP, for White Pine County.
Good morning.
This
Can
is,
you hear me?
Oh, good morning, Matthias. Yes, go ahead.
So, as you stated, this is for our Continuity of Operations Plan, or COOP for short. And in essence, our Continuity of Operations Plan is to help us have a plan of how the county can continue to operate its normal mission essential functions if county offices have to be displaced. So we had a bit of a practice on that a couple of months ago when the historic courthouse flooded in the basement. Worst case scenario, it could be something like a pandemic or partial power outage for part of town. I get partial internet outage. So this is having a documented plan to help us be able to pivot our county employees and resources to another location and continue to serve our community.
I think this is a very extensive plan. There were a couple of changes that I would like to request, and I'm sorry, I was busy with the fire, as you were also.
I think we all were.
Yes, I think so. If you don't mind, I would like to table this to the next meetings to give us a little more time for consideration. It's a very important plan. I just want to make sure that we have this right. Any other comments from the board or questions?
And we got halfway through also, so this would be helpful for me also.
Okay.
And me also.
Commissioner Vogler has stepped out, but I think we can move forward. We still have a quorum. So I would move to table this item to the next commission meeting. And do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, so I move to table and a second from Commissioner Robinson. Any other discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Matthias. We will get back together with you and discuss this a little further.
All right.
Oh, thank you for your help during the fire. Oh boy, you gave up your vacation time for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, that's my job. It's to deal with the worst case scenarios, and hopefully, if I do things right, it all works together smoothly. And I think all of our partners were able to step up and really help on that.
I agree. Okay. Then we'll move on to item number 2, Lori Romero, library. Did I miss one? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one, Matthias. One more. You have a grant. Oh, thank you for keeping me in line here. Okay, so the next one is discussion for possible action, ratification of award for fiscal year 2027, United We Stand, UWS grant in the amount of $30,798 with no match. This grant will assist the White Pine County Sheriff's Office with active shooter response training and the purchase of 6 portable radios for deputies. All right, go ahead, Matthias.
Again, we were awarded the United We Stand grant for $30,798 with no match. And this would send, I believe, 2 or 3 deputies up to Wendover to attend an active shooter response training. And that's a training that they bring back to the community, can train other deputies, and even put on trainings for local businesses, county offices, city offices, on how they can react during an active shooter. And then also the purchase of 6 new portable radios.
Great. I think this is excellent. Any questions from the board or discussion? No, hearing none. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay. I have a motion from Commissioner Robinson to approve and a second from Commissioner Polly. Any other questions or comments? This is regarding the ratification for this award. Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We're almost 10:30. Let's take a quick 5-minute break.
And you are listening to the White Pine County Commission meeting live here on 1230 AM, 98.5 FM, KELY. Let's take a quick break for news and other things here. Hang on.
Celebrate community, creativity, and country at the White Pine County Fair, coming August 22nd and 23rd. This year's theme is American Pride countywide, and there's something for everyone. Show off your talents in gardening, baking, canning, photography, hobbies, handiwork, and creative arts. Everyone can enter, and cash prizes are awarded. Plus, don't miss the special $250 award for the best original entry celebrating America's 250th birthday. Enjoy live music, tasty food, games, vendors, talent competitions, and the always popular 4-H livestock show and sale. The White Pine County Fair, August 22nd and 23rd. Start planning your entries now and celebrate local talent and American pride. Registration is Thursday, August 20th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Friday, August 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Blue Building at the White Pine County Fairgrounds. Presented by AD District 13, Beta Sigma Phi, District 4-H, White Pine Junior Livestock.
Sponsored by Batteries Plus.
3 people, including a young child, are dead after an incident at a Minnesota in-home daycare. Hopkins Police Chief Brent Johnson said 2 adults and the child were found dead at the scene. The 2 adults are believed to be owners of the daycare and the parents of the child who was killed. The adult male is believed to have been the suspect in the incident. It happened this morning at a daycare in Hopkins, just outside of Minneapolis. Other children inside the daycare were safely reunited with their families. Police said there is no further threat to the community. New numbers out today show inflation rose slightly from June to July.
The Consumer Price Index shows inflation rose 0.1% for that time period, while it fell a bit year over year from 3.5% to 3.4%. The report, which is a favorite of the Fed's when it comes to determining interest rates, showed the core CPI, which measures inflation minus food or energy costs, rose 0.2%, more than inflation overall.
A pair of upsets took place in yesterday's primary elections. In Wisconsin, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley upset Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong in the state's Democratic primary. In another upset, Minnesota State House Speaker Lisa DeMuth defeated Trump-endorsed Mike Lindell to win the Republican nomination for governor and will face Senator Amy Klobuchar in November. At least 3 people have died after dangerous storms swept through the Midwest yesterday, NBC's Maggie Vespa reports.
In Portage, Indiana, a home catching on fire, leaving 1 person dead. The cause, the weather, also making it harder for emergency responders to reach the site. Farther south, a 4-year-old boy was killed after a tree fell on his home.
Another person died in Ohio. Also in Ohio, in Grafton, 16 people were struck by lightning at a prison and taken to hospitals for treatment. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther said response teams were seeing disaster-like conditions. Meantime, the National Weather Service confirmed 3 tornadoes touched down near Chicago yesterday. I'm Chris Coraggio.
Power your ride with Batteries Plus. Motorcycles to boats, ATVs to side-by-sides. Whatever you ride, Batteries Plus has the battery for it. Power all your outdoor adventures with help from the experts in charge. Stop by your local Batteries Plus today.
What time is it? It's post time. Since 1934, the annual White Pine County Horse Races, August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd at the White Pine County Fairgrounds in Ely. Live action racing of thoroughbreds and quarter horses, as well as pari-mutuel betting. The event also includes a bar, concessions, and the county fair, making it a fun-filled experience for the entire family. Average per $6,500 pari-mutuel wagering on each race. Post time, 3 p.m. on Friday the 21st, 1 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. For more information, call 775-289-8589 or go online to whitepinecountyhorseraces.com. The White Pine County Horse Races, August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd at the Fairgrounds in Ely. Be there! All right, we are back here on 1230 AM, 98.5 FM KELY. We do have a flood watch posted for this afternoon. And let me try to get this set up here so I can keep an eye on the commission meeting here. National Weather Service radar at the moment is showing showers still to our north and east, but they are flowing from the south. At the moment, it appears much of the activity is going up I-15, and I'm going to put this up here so in case they come back when I'm trying to read here off the screen. We have not had any additional precipitation. We had 1/10 of an inch, 1/100th of an inch rather, in the 6 o'clock hour this morning, and we are keeping an eye on that for you here as well. So we will have that for you coming up a little bit later on. Now, as far as the weather goes, we do have the flood watch continuing through tomorrow night. We are expected showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, a high of 84 degrees. Scattered showers and thunderstorms before 2 o'clock in the morning, 45 the low. Showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, 77 the high, mainly in the afternoon hours. And then those scattered showers and thunderstorms also coming up on Friday as well, mainly in the afternoon hours, and the high, 78 degrees. And I had a ping somewhere. Oh, I know where that's from. Okay, I'm not even going to worry about that. But that is what is going on right now on your station with accurate news and reasonable views, KELY. A note, because some of you have said, what's going on with some of the shows? And I will be perfectly honest with you. Last Saturday, when we were dealing with the wildfire stuff, we had something took out our satellite receiver. And because of that, because we didn't have access to the programs, we have been I've been doing all sorts of things just to make sure the shows stay on the air. And that is why from 6 p.m. till 5 a.m. you have heard Dave Ramsey, because that stuff is easily, we're able to get it. This morning with Gordon Deal and some of the other shows we have not been able to get. Now our fingers are crossed that we're going to be able to get a receiver in here by the weekend. I have an engineer coming in, hopefully, who will be able to get the receiver back in so that we can get back to normal on these shows. Because you have no idea. In covering the wildfires, covering all these other things, it has been a challenge. But I appreciate y'all hanging in there and dealing with us here. I figured they would be back. Let me do one more message here, and then we will get back to the county commission.
It's back to school season, and Sahara Motors is making it easier to save money while supporting local students. Right now, through September 1st, it's the Sahara Motors Back to School Summer Sale. When you purchase a vehicle from Sahara Motors, bring in school supplies and receive $500 off your vehicle purchase. It's a great way to get behind the wheel of the vehicle you want while helping students in our community. Not shopping for a vehicle right now? You can still make a difference. Sahara Motors is accepting school supply donations, and every item collected will be donated to White Pine County schools. Save money, support local students, give back. Visit Sahara Motors just a mile north of Ely on US 93 today and check out the great selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. The Back to School Summer Sale runs now through September 1st at Sahara Motors, proud to support White Pine County.
Murphy was an optimist. The minute I played that spot and got about 10 seconds into it, the county commission went back into session. Lori Romero, the library director, is talking about some of the grants they are seeking ratification to accept. Here she is.
And we've tried to send staff, not every year, this will actually be the second year in a row we've been able to do that, but only because of getting federal funds. So they come back with new ideas, rejuvenated, ready to bring on some new stuff.
So I know we're kind of somewhat in a policy writing effect right now with conferences and things of this nature too. So you're willing to adhere to those if they come out here in the future to it. I know it'll be not allowing people to take 2 weeks vacation of join to their conference or 3 weeks vacation. So, we're just looking. It's not
on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda item, but I'm asking if she is willing to adhere to.
I think soliciting that response is not on the agenda.
See how you are.
I know, I'm no fun.
They will be leaving on a Wednesday morning, flying out of Vegas, flying back into Vegas Saturday evening and coming home.
Okay.
And be at work on Monday.
And this is for Lori Williams and Katrina Brennan. And I remember you had this last year also, that's good.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, last year they went to New Mexico.
Right. I would like to move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve this from Commissioner Robinson and a second from Commissioner Pauly. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move to item 2B, discussion for possible action. Accept EJC Foundation funds in the amount of $12,500 to be used as specified in the application. There is no match.
Okay, the EJC Foundation every year sets aside funding for the agencies or departments they choose to donate to, and the Senior Center is one of them they donate to every year. And the amount varies depending on their gains from their investments. This year they had $12,500 set aside for the Senior Center. They let us know how much, then we submit how we're going to spend that money to them. So we actually sent 2 different applications because the first application we did not use our full amount, and we had up until July 1st to actually send a second request. So we will be getting, actually, we have received both checks. They've been deposited in the county system. And the first one, I don't know if any of you have been in the senior center familiar with it. We have like a Formica top that like our water ice machine sets on and coffee machine, all that kind of stuff for the seniors. We are going to be replacing that. It needs replaced desperately. So that's where the biggest portion of that grant is going. And then some miscellaneous kitchen materials, and then our floor mixer. This is where the second portion of that grant came in. Our floor mixer is going to have to be replaced. Any equipment over there is very expensive. So the floor mixer, it's over $18,000. Excuse me. So we're using the balance of that grant towards that, and then we'll be using some of our own budget monies out of our funds to make up that difference to get that replaced, because the health inspector will take it out of service. So anyway, that's how this grant's being used. And once you accept it, I will be getting with Alicia for those line items and amounts for the different expenditures.
How many seniors do you feed every day?
Pardon me?
How many seniors do you feed every day, or people do you feed every day on average?
A lot. But we have, over 120 unduplicated seniors that come to the center every day. And then on homebound, we have about 60. On the average, we're doing about 120 meals a day between the two services.
Very needed. Very needed. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Robinson
Second.
and a second from Commissioner Polly. There is no match to this, so it's wonderful. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Item C, discussion for possible action. Adopt revised, updated White Pine Nutrition Program Policy Manual as required by Aging Disability Services Division. Lorraine?
Okay. In receiving federal funds, we are required through the Aging Disabilities and Division Services to have certain policies in place as an agreement as to receive those funds. So that's what this manual consists of. Every senior program that receives federal funds has this manual. We have to make sure it's available to our staff, to any seniors that register into the program. The grievance policy is actually required to be posted on a board that's accessible to the seniors, so they know what their rights are if they are asked to not come back or if they're terminated for some reason. I did work with, or I'm still been working with Mike and HR on the vehicle accident and emergency procedures. Once again, this one is just kind of simple process of policy to give the guidance to the drivers if they are involved in an accident while on the route or come across a client who has deceased or fallen. Do you want to go through each of these policies separately, or have you read the manual and have any questions or?
Any questions?
I mean, there's several sections, and I'm just not sure how you guys wanted to go about it.
So is this close to the previous manual it had? How did
Yes.
you come up with this? Is
There-
still word changing or?
Very little word changing, like on the, like the advocacy information assistant policy, there was some phone number change numbers there. As far as emergency procedures, I worked with Matthias on that. He only had one small comment that we added to that. The rest is all pretty much exactly the same. The only one that had a little bit of difference, and once again, I've been working with other senior centers on this. The grievance policy, that one is pretty much just laid out by Division for Aging. We don't get a choice in changing that. And to be honest with you, I know that grievance policy sounds very scary. In my years with the center, which has been since 91, we have only had one grievance filed. So it's pretty nil. We don't want to terminate anyone's service. It's going to take a lot to get there. And once again, that policy lays out that procedure to the seniors. The only one that had some changes was the homebound meal delivery agreement guidelines, and this has gone through with the seniors when they're enrolled on our homebound service of what's expected of them and what's expected of us. The only problem all of us have been having a problem with is people not calling in, saying they're not going to be home. The driver goes there with a meal, they're not home. So then that triggers another process. We contact their emergency contact. If we can't get a hold of them, we contact the sheriff's office who does a welfare check. And in the meantime, there's a loss of resources, driver's time. The meal that couldn't be delivered now has to be thrown away because we cannot use it. So everybody's kind of put a little more teeth into that. And so now what we all kind of agreed upon, if they're not home 3 times in a month and did not call, unless it was an emergency, then they could be issued a warning about losing their service. But that's really the only thing that changed there, because once again, everybody has to kind of have that same information in there. Melissa did the DA's office change a couple of words from will be to may in that policy initially, but that's the only real changes there once again. This is a viable program. It's something that's essential to the community, especially now where we do not have a care center. More families are trying to keep their loved ones here, which we want them home. And, you know, for them to have a lunch delivered, somebody to check on them daily is a big relief for a lot of families. So we're not out to terminate anyone's service at all. I mean, we're going to work with them as much as we can to not let that happen. But if it becomes a situation where the individual or the family's not willing to work with us and it's a liability or a risk to our drivers, then we have to do something.
I think it's a great service for the community. Great service, much appreciated.
Do you extend those services to Lund and Preston and outline?
We do not, because the limited resources. I mean, when it comes to homebound services, from the time the meal is packed, we have 2 hours to deliver that meal. Or once again, it's, you know, everything's temperature controlled for safety reasons. So those areas are just too far out. If we had somebody that came to us, we can take and try to work with Division for Aging. They have been known to give waivers where we could make sure an individual gets like a week's worth of frozen meals, or there is alternative methods to get them meals.
I don't know if Desi's around, but my understanding was she tried to work with Baker on frozen meals, and there was no demand.
Right, Desi and I both were in on that
Right.
one, yes, and she's right. There was really no interest in it. Now, in the past, we did have one individual from Lund that eventually did move up to Ely, but in the meantime, we did work with them, got them on. I'm sure you guys see them. There's meal services out there that you can pay for, and they actually deliver to your front door. They're either like a dry meal, or they can be frozen where we have to put them in the freezer. And we did work with that individual in that method until they did move up to the Ely area, and then we put them on the homebound service.
Yeah. So I think we're doing a good job, even in the remote areas when we can.
No, Desi and I work a lot together, especially with the remote areas, because we don't want anyone doing without.
Any other discussion or questions from the board? No? I move to approve. Okay, I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Robinson and a second from Commissioner Vogler. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Lori. Thank you for your work. Number 3, Bill Calderwood, Airport Manager. This is discussion for possible action to prioritize the airport capital improvement budget 081 from airport entry signage to security cameras not to exceed $10,000.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The airport or the capital improvement budget 081 is under Cole. Cole manages that budget, and then myself, Airport Advisory Board, we submitted to that budget for the 10,000 for the signage entry into the airport. Why the request or why the change of priorities is we had some vandalism out at the airport. We filed the police report. We did everything. But what happened is essentially, we believe there was an individual in a vehicle that ran down the edge of the runway, taking out 5 consecutive lights. And that's what prompted the switch of the priorities. The Airport Advisory Board believes that this is a good thing. Obviously, most of them have planes, so I'm sure that's why they do it. But so they approved that, and there are 2 specific gates that has entry into the airport. The other ones can be locked, but that will have camera coverage for whoever comes in and out. We are not totally committed to this price that is on the backup material. I just submitted that to show you that yes, we can do it for under the $10,000 if we switch the 2 priorities. There also will be a small monthly charge for the internet, whatever that camera uses. $50 is what IT thought it would be a monthly charge. That would go directly to the airport's budget, which can cover that amount. Any questions for me or Cole?
How far apart are the two cameras you're talking about?
So the first camera will be at the entry gate to the old hangar 1, the wooden structure one. There is a gate there. There'll be cameras that'll catch a vehicle coming or going. It'll be at least what we spec'd out. It'll be able to see the color of the vehicle, no matter if there's any light out there or not. And it'll focus directly on the driver and the license plate, because they know where it's going to come through, so they can tune right into that. And there'll be one as the vehicle leaves, just because a lot of vehicles don't have a front and a back license plate. And the other one camera will be at the FBO, or where the ambulances will come in for those planes or helicopter for our services. So both gates that are unable to be locked or that aren't locked traditionally, we have camera coverage.
And there's access to the runway 24 hours?
Yes, there is. Historically, we don't get too many people in, but you'll get pilots that'll fly in at night, stop. They don't.
I was thinking more of the hospital having to take an emergency run.
Yes, they have access. Absolutely. And then our airport capital improvement budget right now is they are redoing engineering, the security, the gates, the fencing at the airport. So that will change. I've met with different med carriers we have, and we've got a system design where they can come in and they can just show an ID and the gates will automatically open and stuff. So that will kind of change, but that's probably still 2 years out before we can, and it still gives us coverage, even if the gate's there.
Thank you.
So you mentioned a proprietary fee of approximately $50 a month. Do you have Wi-Fi at the airport?
That will give us Wi-Fi there.
That $50 a month is incurring a Wi-Fi fee.
Yes, and one of the things that'll be good for that is we have, I don't know how many, we've had a lot of students that are learning to fly, and that they can actually, if there are tests or there's paperwork they have to submit online, they can do it right there at the airport now. So it's kind of a double edge. We'll get the best of both. So,
and it'd be available to visiting visitors.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay.
And these will be owned by the airport. These are not a rented camera.
That's correct.
Nature, and you'll have a looped system within your facility.
Yeah, I think we're looking at like 5-day storage or something like that. Gives us plenty of time on the weekend. If any vandalism occurs, that we'll be able to, that data or that camera footage will still be available to us. Okay.
Cool. Okay. Do we have a motion? I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions from the board? I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Robinson and a second from Commissioner Vogler. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bill. Thank you, Cole. Thank you. Okay, item number 4. Alicia Burke-Bigler, Finance Director, Comptroller. Item 8, discussion update. Update of grant quarterly reports for the period of January 2026 to March 2026, submitted by Cora Gaddy, Grant Specialists. Alicia?
I'm going to turn this one over to Cora. She is ready to present.
Good
morning.
Hi, Cora. Morning.
So these are the quarterly reports for January through March that were submitted by all the departments, including myself. If you have any questions, just let me know.
I had questions, but I kept looking at the date. This is only to March 31st. So I think I'll save my questions for a little bit later when we can cover through June.
Those will be on the next meeting.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I would like to say that I really enjoyed seeing the quarterly grant report regarding NDOT 5311 operation. That's from Desi regarding the KELY bus. Great statistics. I would like to see this all the time because this shows what we're providing, the service we're providing for the community. And that's wonderful. What did I have here? I got something here. Yeah. Any questions from the boards or comments? The Jack Hill, well, this again is only March 31st, so I'll save my questions for the June 30th.
Well, I will let you know also that Desi is not in attendance because she had to go to Reno to pick up the new bus. Okay, so.
A new KELY bus? That's wonderful.
Finally.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? No? Okay, we'll move on to item B. This is discussion for possible action. Approval of monthly financial reports for White Pine County for June 2026. No. Is this the final report for the fiscal year?
This is not the final report for the fiscal year. We haven't completed that.
Okay. Because I did have questions.
Right. The fiscal reports are for the end of the year we're working on them with Ida Bailey. And they have just recently begun doing that. It took us a little bit of time to get them access to Tyler and to the county records that are saved on our server. IT's been working through that to figure out how we were going to be able to get them access to what they needed since they were not coming to town and not going to be sitting here doing it.
Okay, so these are not final reports. These are
just the monthly, just current, what was pulled out of the system and not finalized. So they haven't been manipulated. They haven't been updated other than this is what the system said.
Okay. So I would rather not have a motion since these are not finalized. I would prefer to wait until we have the final reports. Any questions or comments from the board?
So are you going to table it or?
No, just no action. Unless someone would prefer to have action. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion for possible action, approval of monthly financial reports for the fire district for June 2026. And again, it's the same thing. They're not the final.
They're not the finals.
Okay. According to this,
I don't foresee any changes in truth to the fire department's reports. Having gone through them, they're pretty direct, pretty straightforward. I don't expect to see any changes to this at all. They aren't going to have any prior year stuff that got submitted, bills and stuff that were paid in July that should have, come from June. The fire didn't start in June, so we aren't going to have anything that gets credited back to that. So these numbers for the fire department are pretty accurate.
Okay. So for the intergovernment fire district, On the revenue line, we had 400,000. It looks like fiscal activity was 330,000, so it was a little bit short. And looking at the bottom line numbers, it looks like we contribute 200,000.
Yeah.
Approximately for the year.
Yeah.
To the fire district, which is, as we recently been noticed that it's very important.
Yes, we have.
Any questions from the board? No? Okay. Okay, moving on to item D, we'll move on to discussion for possible action, approval of the monthly expense report generated from accounts payable payments made to vendors for June 2026. And this is a very extensive report. I do have a lot of questions about this, and I'm sorry I didn't have the time to visit with you before. Commissioner Polk?
I need to recuse myself from item D.
Yeah.
I believe I have a.
Yeah. Actually, I would prefer to table this as much as I hate to, because I'd like to spend some time with Lucia and get some questions, and we need to perhaps reformat how we do this. I don't know if you've been to the turnaround meeting, but if there is someone on the board who's would have to abstain from voting rather than abstaining from the entire report, those items are separated so they abstain from those items and they can vote on the rest of the report. So if you guys don't mind, I would like to table this one item to the next meeting so we can work on it. Yeah, so I would move to table this item.
I'll second it.
Okay. And a second from Commissioner Vogler. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, this item.
One abstention.
And one abstention.
Yep.
One abstention. So thank you. One abstention. Okay. So 4 and 1 abstention. 3 and 1 abstention. There's only 3. Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. I would like to consider items A, discussion for possible action, approval of elected officials. B, discussion for possible action, approval of budget transfers within and between functions or programs within a fund that do not increase the total appropriation of the fund or adjust for approved grants agency funds for White Pine County for June 2026. And item C, discussion for possible action, approval of budget transfers within and between functions or programs within a fund that do not increase the total appropriation of the fund or adjust for approved grants agency funds for White Pine County Fire District for June 2026. And then I would like to consider items D and E separately. So, any discussion?
KELY, Ely.
I would move to approve items 4A, B, and C.
Second that.
Okay. So I'd move, Commissioner Carson has moved to approve items A, B, and C. Second from Commissioner Hawley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Then we will move on to item D, discussion for possible action, approval of the minutes for the July 8, 2026 Joint White Pine Commission, County Commission, Fire Commission meeting and special meeting of the Board of County Health. I think I have one or two. Okay, on this particular item, on page 4, I would like to delete the second paragraph. It says, Commissioner Hank Vogler advised that he was trying to get through the county without getting shot. Has no relevance to the meeting. I would like to delete that line. On page 9, this is actually a question for the DA. This was approval to establish a process for department heads to request and approve for leave. There's a comment here. It says District Attorney Melissa Brown noted that there were only 5 department heads this would apply to. And I don't know why it says that. And I just wanted to ask.
If I said that, I probably said that.
Maybe we can request clarification.
About what did I mean?
Uh-huh.
That it wouldn't have applied to elected department heads, and so that's why I said that.
I agree with that, but there's more than 5 department heads. Right?
I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So that explains it. All right. Thank you.
For clarification, Chairman, you initially asked for the second paragraph on page 4 to be deleted, and then you said the beginning of the sentence. Which is it that you want deleted?
The second paragraph, the entire sentence, it says Commissioner Hank Vogler advised that he was trying to get through the county without getting shot. I would like to delete that sentence.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions? None on that one. Okay. So with that change, I would like to move to approve the minutes for July 8, 2026.
I'll second that.
Okay. So I motion to approve the minutes for July 8, 2026. With a second from Commissioner Polly. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to item E, discussion for possible action. Approval of the minutes for the July 22nd, 2026 joint White Pine County Commission, Road Commission, and the board meeting. Any comments or changes?
Yes, there are changes. So this will be page 12, I believe. And it states in there, myself shared that I looked back at the minutes, and this first time to see the GAB's conduct was unacceptable. If the GAB would not conduct their meetings according to the county requirements, then their meetings should be moved out of the public eye. The building, and this is by verbatim of what I'd said, so the building in there is a public business, and if they are not going to conduct their business like the county requires, following the open meeting laws and the ethics, then perhaps we need to move them to a more subtle setting. I'd like that put back in.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. I have page 14. Oh, I have page 14. The item was approval of the IT department's request for a 10% salary increase for IT staff. And at the end of that section, there's a comment. It says, Commissioner Vogler received a tax bill and would claim to pay more taxes than he paid for the parcel. Please delete that sentence. It has nothing to do with that item.
I don't know if everybody's sense of humor was surgically removed or they're born without one. That's all I had to play with when I was a kid, was my sense of humor. I don't care.
Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none. Do we have a motion?
I
second. Thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Vogler to approve the minutes for July 22nd. And a second from Commissioner Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. We'll move on to our second public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, I'll move on to teams. Is there any public comment on Teams? If so, please raise your hand. Let's see. Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
I second. Thank you. Thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Vogler to adjourn and a second from Commissioner Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None, motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
And that concludes your White Pine County Commission meeting for this Wednesday, August 12th, rather, of 2026. And this meeting, at least most of the meeting, the first half hour we lost due to a computer glitch, but it will be available for you to hear a little later on. You can access it through Facebook. Just search for KELY 1230 AM 98.5 FM on any podcast engines, and you should see our podcasts, including our newscasts and interviews. All right, we are going to take a quick break here, and we will have a few comments before we get back to actually, it's going to be Andy Hoosier sitting in for Todd again today. Hang on.
Sponsored by Batteries Plus.
3 people, including a young child, have died after an incident at a Minnesota in-home daycare just outside of Minneapolis. Hopkins Police Chief Brent Johnson provided details.
Upon arrival, officers located a deceased male, female, and juvenile victim. There were other children present within the daycare, and we were able to get them out of the daycare and reunify them with their parents.
The 2 adults are believed to have been the owners of the daycare and the parents of the child who was killed. The adult male is believed to have been the suspect in this incident. Johnson said it happened about 9 a.m. local time, and police say there is no further threat to the community. The midterm elections this November are starting to take shape.
Yesterday in Wisconsin, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley upset Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong in the state's Democratic primary. In another upset, Minnesota State House Speaker Lisa Dameth defeated Trump-endorsed Mike Lindell to win the Republican nomination for governor and will face Senator Amy Klobuchar in November.
Elsewhere in South Carolina, Senator Darlene Graham has been forced into a primary runoff against Congressman Ralph Norman. She looks to secure a full term after she was appointed to her brother Lindsey Graham's seat due to his unexpected death. Dangerous storms that swept through the Midwest yesterday have left 3 people dead and thousands without power. 2 of the deaths were in Indiana, where a 4-year-old boy was killed when a tree fell on his home in Jennings County. Another person was killed in a house explosion believed to have been storm-related. Another person died in Ohio. Also in Ohio, in Grafton, 16 people were struck by lightning at a prison and taken to local hospitals. Tropical storm Cristobal has formed in the subtropical Atlantic. According to the National Hurricane Center, sustained winds are 45 miles an hour, and it's moving east away from the U.S. at 25 miles an hour. Meantime, an area of disturbance in the central tropical Atlantic has an 80% chance of becoming the 4th named storm, Dolly, by the weekend. I'm Chris Coraggio.
Power your ride with Batteries Plus. Motorcycles to boats, ATVs to side-by-sides. Whatever you ride, Batteries Plus has the battery for it. Power all your outdoor adventures with help from the experts in charge. Stop by your local Batteries Plus today.
At Drew Bay Chevrolet, our service department is more than just a repair shop. It's part of our community. You'll always find a welcoming smile, honest answers, and service that fits your schedule and budget. From routine maintenance to major repairs, our factory-trained technicians use state-of-the-art equipment to get the job done right the first time. We service all makes and models, so no matter what you drive, we've got you covered. We offer competitive prices and quality you can trust, backed by world-class service with a hometown feeling. Experience a better way at Drew Bay Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
A massive wildfire is threatening hundreds of homes and businesses in California's Big Sur. CAL FIRE says the timber fire has scorched nearly 3,000 acres since the weekend and is still just 5% contained at last check. Evacuation orders are in place along the coast south of Monterey, where officials say over 500 buildings are now threatened. Puerto Rico has entered a state of emergency after suffering through its driest July in over a century. The severe weather has left major drinking reservoirs completely depleted, forcing the government to shut off water to residential neighborhoods. Technicians are working overtime.
We're still dealing with some problems regarding the reconstruction from Hurricane Maria, Irma, the earthquakes. But earthquakes didn't affect Loíza that much.
Experts warn that nature is only half the problem, as 65% of the island's water is lost daily through cracked, aging infrastructure and leaking pipes. The National Guard and federal agencies are actively stepping in to distribute bottled water. Honolulu officials are urging residents to prepare for a developing tropical storm. Its exact track and strength remains uncertain, but it could affect Hawaii this weekend. Potential hazards include strong winds, heavy rain, and dangerous surf. Officials recommend preparing 14 days of emergency supplies, reviewing evacuation plans, and securing outdoor objects. A top executive coach says American workers need to address their fears that AI will replace them. Tammy Trujillo has details.
Neil Shore says employees need to look beyond their fears and look at how they can up their own participation at work to stand out from the crowd.
That is a differentiator. And for as simple as it sounds, most people duck and hide, and I teach people to raise their hand and contribute.
A recent Reuters Ipsos poll reveals 53% of Americans fear that AI could cost them their jobs. Shore says workers will always bring uniquely human contributions to the table and advises focusing on higher productivity and looking for ways to expand your current job duties.
I'm Chris Coraggio.
And it is 11 minutes past 11 o'clock here on 1230 a.m. KELY. I find it interesting that commissioners can say what they want to during the meeting, and then Commissioner Carson decides what's relevant in the minutes to the meeting, and goes back and rewrites history, if you will. That is something that strikes me as something that this commission does far too much, trying to rewrite history. But then that's just a small part of it. National Weather Service radar showing some showers to our south right now, mostly in the Caliente area. In fact, just to the east of Caliente, there's some pretty heavy storms there. They are not working their way up here yet, but they could be. We're keeping an eye on the radar, and we will advise you if some ugly stuff heads this way. Don't worry about that. That's what we're supposed to do here. We have had just that little 1/100th of an inch of precipitation this morning in the 6 o'clock hour. We hopefully will have more later this afternoon, as we do have thunderstorms likely today. We are looking for a high of 84 degrees. Scattered thunderstorms overnight, low around 47, and then scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, mainly in the afternoon hours, 77 the high, and then scattered thunderstorms on Friday, 78 the high. We do have a flood watch, and this is primarily in concern with the fire scar areas. If they get a good drenching there where the fires have been going on, it could cause mudslides and ugly stuff, so be aware. We will keep you advised here on KELY, 1230 AM, 98.5 FM, and also online at KELY1230.com.